Hey everybody, this is Bill. I'm the salty old Marine. I am going to talk to you today about my personal claim, the claim that I just got through with the VA for sleep apnea. All right, so this is a popular claim. Sleep apnea is secondary, in my case, to PTSD. A lot of veterans make this claim, and the common wisdom is that it's a very tough claim to win, and I think it probably is. I did manage to win that claim. By the way, that's a 50% rating if you're diagnosed with sleep apnea and you're prescribed a CPAP, the little mask you wear over your face, and you're service-connected. So if those three things happen to be true, it's a 50% rating, which in terms of VA ratings is fairly high. So it's one that commonly veterans have a problem with, and it's one that they often seek disability for. So I did that. So let's talk through how it worked, how it didn't work, what happened, what was good, what was bad, and hopefully this will help you if you have PTSD and you're trying to service connect it to your sleep apnea, right? So let's dig in. So first of all, I have PTSD. I am rated by the VA at 70% for PTSD, right? So I have service-connected PTSD. I receive treatment for it from the VA. I take medication. I go to therapy. Blah blah blah, right? So yeah, I'm a veteran with PTSD, not unlike a lot of my fellow veterans. In addition to that, I have sleep apnea. My wife has noticed since the day we were married that I snore at night and occasionally I stop breathing, right? We were married in 2002, and she's noticed this since the day we were married, that's in fact what I do. I probably had sleep apnea long before that, but because I wasn't sleeping, with anybody, you don't feel it or see it in yourself. You don't catch yourself not breathing, right? That's just, okay. You get the idea. So at least as far back as 2002, my wife has known that I had apnea, that I stopped breathing in the middle of the night. That's important. All right, moving on. Recently, at the behest of my cardiologist, because I have atrial fibrillation, my heart had an arrhythmia, and I had to have surgery for it. My cardiologist said that can be caused by sleep apnea, and he wanted to get me tested. So I resisted for a while because I didn't feel like I had sleep apnea. You know how it is, guy stuff, right? I finally went to see a doctor, and the doctor prescribed a sleep study. A sleep study is where you wear some devices and you go to sleep. It's either done in a setting at a sleep center, or you can do it at home in some cases. And in fact, that's how mine was done. It was done at home. So I took this at-home sleep study test. I hooked all the devices up the way they said. I went to bed and I turned in the unit and all the recording stuff to the doctor in the morning. And they sent it out to be analyzed, and it came back that I have moderate sleep apnea. I was prescribed a CPAP machine, a constant pathway. I don't even know what it stands for. It's a mask you wear on your face, and it blows air into your face and it makes noise, and it's annoying. But I was prescribed that, and I got one in the mail from a medical provider, and I sat down and read the directions and figured out how to use it. And in fact, I've used it ever since. So that was September of 2024, and this is July of 2025, and I'm still using the bloody thing. I use it every night. So there you go. Now, is it service connected? Now, that's the $64,000 question, or should I say the 50% question. Well, the first thing I did when I decided I wanted to try to service connect my sleep apnea to my PTSD was I went out and read the 38 CFR for sleep apnea. And what it said was you have to be diagnosed with sleep apnea. Bingo, I've got that. You've got to be prescribed a CPAP machine. Bingo, got that too. And it's got to be service connected. Get those three, 50%. Okay, that seems pretty straightforward. Let's see how we can service connect it. Now, what causes sleep apnea? Lots of different things can cause sleep apnea. And the truth is, the real honest truth is, nobody knows what caused my sleep apnea or your sleep apnea. We can only speak in terms of possibilities, right? It is possible that my sleep apnea was caused by any number of things. It could be caused by my old age. I'm 64 years old, just turned. Wish me a happy birthday. Okay, so it could have been caused by my old age. And that's going to be important. Pay attention to that. It could have been caused by my weight. Yes, that's right. I'm overweight. And in earlier times, I was really overweight. I was seriously overweight. So that's a possibility as well. PTSD itself can cause sleep apnea. There have been studies done that show this, that show that many veterans with PTSD also have sleep apnea. They can be comorbid, meaning you can have sleep apnea, which can actually cause PTSD. So it can go both ways. But in general, there are studies that say that, yes, PTSD causes things like hypervigilance and lack of sleep and increased cortisols, and those kinds of things can, in fact, cause sleep apnea or aggravate sleep apnea. And both of those things are valid for service connection. So how did I do it to win my claim? Everybody's options are going to be a little bit different, but these are mine. It just so happens that while I was in the Marine Corps, I was placed on weight control. Now, what that means is I went over my weight limit. I'm 5'10". My weight limit at the time was 192. I shot up a little over that. My CO didn't like it and sent me to sick bay, and boom, I got put on weight control. I got given 90 days to lose the weight. In the meantime, I was actually up for promotion to corporal, and that was denied because I was on weight control. Nobody who's on weight control can be promoted. And that went into my record book, and my being on weight control went into my service treatment record. Now, that's nothing to be proud of, especially in my case, if you're a Marine. I mean, it's just, is that something you go around telling people, yay, I got put on weight control, I'm a fat body, haha. Yeah, that's not something I was really proud of or happy about. But as it turns out, that was advantageous for me now. Why? Because my PTSD that I had experienced happened before this. So I can make an argument to the VA that my overweight, that my being put on weight control was a direct cause of was caused by my PTSD. In other words, PTSD caused me to overeat. That's a known symptom. In fact, that was even used as a marker in my original PTSD claim. So it's not like the VA doesn't know it exists, right? So when I filed my claim, I filed it that way. I said, hey, look, I've got PTSD. It's service-connected. I had weight gain while I was in the service, and that's documented in my service treatment record and my service record book. I was even denied promotion for that. And my obesity, my weight gain, caused or aggravated my sleep apnea. Great. That's my theory. How do I back that up? In my case, I backed it up a number of ways. First, I had a buddy letter from my wife stating that she noticed me having apnea in 2002. Second, I wrote a strong personal letter explaining my theory, my take on why I have sleep apnea and how it affects me every day and all that kind of stuff. But really, the VA only cares about diagnosis, prescription of a CPAP machine, and service connection for this particular disability. And then third, and I think this is probably critical, I decided to go out and get an independent medical opinion. So I went to a psychologist and I said, I need a nexus letter explaining that there's a connection between PTSD, weight gain, and sleep apnea. And that's what I got. I got back this nexus letter. It had cites to scientific articles and studies explaining just exactly how that happens, right? And it included the at least as likely as not statement from a medical professional. All of that went into my claim. Boom, I filed the claim. What happened next? Well, as it turns out, the VA did not send me for a CNP exam. They sent me for what's called an ACE review. An ACE review is somewhat similar to a CNP exam, except that it's done on paper, right? So a doctor or a medical professional looks at your claim and all the records in it and makes fills out a DBQ and makes a medical opinion. Interestingly, I filed a Freedom of Information Act claim on that ACE report, on that ACE review, before my claim was even closed. And within 2 weeks, I had that result. And when I read it, I was horrified because the examiner said, yes, obesity can cause sleep apnea, but in this veteran's case, it was caused by his old age. Less likely than not. Case closed. Was I going to lose my claim? Well, I believe that if I had not submitted a nexus letter stating the opposite, yes, I would have lost my claim. It wouldn't have been the end of the world because I would have still had the option of filing a supplemental claim with that nexus letter. So I could have just waited, right, if I wanted to do that. So that's a valid strategy. Send it in without the nexus. See what happens. If you win, great. If you don't win, go get that nexus letter. That would have been perfectly valid. In my case, I did it beforehand. I sent it in with my claim. Now, here's what's interesting. The rater sent my claim back to another ACE review. Yeah. So it went submission, ACE review, rater, ACE review. I filed a Freedom of Information Act request for that second exam. And that one, I read very clearly. The rater said to the examiner, I see two conflicting opinions here. Please resolve them. Figure out which one's right. Literally, that's literally what it said. And the rater, who happened to be a registered nurse in this case, looked at my nexus letter and looked at the medical opinion from the original examiner, saw that they were in conflict, and said, the one from the nexus letter that the veteran provided is the correct one. It is at least as likely as not that his sleep apnea was caused or aggravated by his obesity, which was caused by his sleep apnea. That rater sent that in, that examiner sent that in, and the rater made a decision, and I won my claim, 50%, added to the 70% that I already had for PTSD and the 10% that I have for tinnitus, which means my overall rating right now is 90% with the VA. So a big win for me, great, but more importantly, I wanted to share this with you. Sleep apnea, secondary to PTSD, with or without weight gain as an intermediate step, is a very common claim. And I'm going to tell you right now, I read an awful lot of things from veterans saying they tried it, it got denied, it got shut down, and the reasons that were given were things like PTSD doesn't cause sleep apnea. Well, it can. And the problem is that you got an examiner who simply made that statement, maybe even without backing it up, maybe without looking at alternate evidence. How do you overcome that? Well, in my case, I overcame it with a nexus letter. That may be something that you want to explore if you're going to try for this particular claim. And again, if you don't want to do it up front, don't do it up front. Wait. If your claim gets approved, then you're golden. That's gravy. If your claim gets denied, well, then maybe you want to go get that nexus letter. I really hope that you were able to stick around for the end of this. I know it's a long video. I'm sorry. I'm Bill. I am the Salty Old Marine. Please like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. Give some comments. Tell me about your experience with PTSD and sleep apnea or any other claim connected to sleep apnea. How did it go? Did it work for you? What was your strategy? I'm really interested. And it helps to share with others, right? As always, have a great day.